now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Alright, so I remember we did a reaction video on Palworld a couple, like when it first was announced. I just thought it was definitely a unique concept, and but yeah, it recently released and it pretty much took over the internet. Um, it became like the highest selling game on Steam or something like that. Pretty much everybody was talking about it. It became pretty much like a viral moment. I think. Why do you think it became so viral, in your opinion?
So I think the main reason why it became so viral is because they had a pretty good trailer, man. I mean, what I see, how the gameplay actually plays now, it's not how I pictured it, how it would actually be. But the trailer was so good at like portraying it being an adventure type first person shooting slash Pokemon type game to the point where it's like Pokemon's like a very big company, you know what I mean? Big, like everyone knows Pokemon. Like if you go all around the world, you say Pikachu, everyone knows who you're talking about or what show you're talking about. So the fact that people were associating Pokemon with it is one of the big reasons why I think it did so well. Like in terms of people actually getting a copy or actually wanting to try to play it. And adding guns with it, I mean, shit, everyone likes first person shooters, so it's like Pokemon with guns, that's pretty interesting. So let me give it a shot. And I think that's why it did so well. And I think that's why everyone on the first day was on stream and streaming it because they wanted to see what it was all about.
Yeah, I think also like it takes a lot of elements from a whole bunch of different games. Like when it comes to the survival aspect, like games like Arc something. It's like Arc something Survive, like Minecraft
Hmm.
esque, and then also when it comes to the animal catching, that's obviously Pokemon, and then like the exploration definitely took inspiration from like Zelda and things of that nature. So I think it just took a lot of the big things from other games, and also the fact that it's like it's not like a AAA studio that made the game. Like it's like an indie game. You know what I mean? Like only a couple people have made the game. That's what I'm assuming. I'm pretty sure it's not like a huge studio. So I think that's what also kind of boosted it up. One thing that I think that also added to it was uh, I feel like Pokemon fans are just starving for content. You know what I mean? Like the last couple Pokemon games weren't that good. That especially just like the feedback and shit that I've seen online. Like a lot of people, obviously Pokemon's gonna sell, like no matter what. But the last Pokemon game, I think it was like Violet and some Ultra something. I don't know, but I just know that one was really not well received, and I think people want this type of game, but just Pokemon. So the fact that they got it, they just jumped on it regardless. Um, one
Yeah.
thing that I one thing that I could say just by like watching the game and seeing a lot of reviews is that it um it is a solid foundation of a game, but it also isn't. It doesn't live up to the hype whether when it comes to other games. Like it's definitely very stiff, and a lot of things aren't polished and not finished. You know what I mean? I think it's just out on early access, so that's something that developers say when they just want to release the game and it's not fully finished. And so it kind of excuses all that. But I think like a lot of the things I've seen really didn't. Nothing really pulled me into wanting to play the game. Like it doesn't. Like there is that aspect of yes, it's somewhat Pokemon vibe, but I think this game probably wouldn't have blew up if they were just like regular animals. Like they weren't designed to kind of look like Pokemon. Like because there's a whole bunch of games that are like this. I just think that the
Hmm.
fact that they were designed to look like Pokemon's. Well, I'm not saying they were designed to look like Pokemon, but it's definitely heavily inspired by Pokemon. You know what I mean? So I think that's what really took it off. I think, like I said, like you said, the first trailer, you see like a Pikachu looking monster with two AKs. You're just like, what the fuck is
Mhm.
going on? Like, you know what I mean? Clearly,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It pulls that inspiration. But speaking of that, I was gonna ask you, do you think there's a difference between inspiration and imitation? Because recently, the Pokemon Company pretty much said people were blowing up the Pokemon Company like, yo, y'all don't see this, like y'all don't see this. So they pretty much was like, all right, we're gonna do an investigation on um, pretty much like the character designs and certain things of that nature. Which if I have to say something about that, I would say is I understand why, but I don't think they really have a case just because it's it's more it's more like I said, it's more of a smaller indie studio. It's not like a big AAA $60 $70 game, like, you know what I mean. It's like a indie studio. But yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, what do you think the difference is between like imitation and like taking inspiration from something, you know?
The thing is, though, is like, can you really say it's plagiarism? Like, just because the design of the characters look like
Yes,
Pokemon? I mean,
we can.
you can because, like, you think about it. So any small creature that you make in a show, right? It could look like a Pokemon. Pokemons look like all types of shapes. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
so Digimon, they don't look like Pokemons.
that's debatable. But I know what you
Like,
mean. It's that Digimon, Yokai, like Pokemon, like
yeah,
they're all in that realm.
I just feel like the concept of like creating small little creatures shouldn't be instantly like compared to Pokemon. Although it does look like Pokemon, I think the main reason why I compare it to Pokemon more so is because, of course, they have little creatures and the Pokeballs. They
It's the
basically have
Pokeballs, yeah.
Pokeballs that capture the
It's the
Pokemon,
Pokemon,
and
yeah.
that's when I say, okay, this is like Pokemon because they're using Pokeballs to catch the creatures. But the creatures themselves, they're just designing creatures. That's all it is.
Yeah,
I feel like I can create a creature that looks like a Pokemon. You know what I mean? It's like basically I associate it with like it being the first Dragon Ball Z of that genre. You know what I mean? Like you can think about like Hunter x Hunter and you can compare it to fucking Dragon Ball Z, like the powers, like the key power and all that. Or you can talk about Yu Yu Hakusho. You can talk about the spiritual energy be associated with Dragon Ball Z. I feel like there's always going to be that first thing that kind of like inspires the rest. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's kind of hard to create something that's different from the original. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like completely unique. I agree with you. I do think I would say it's definitely more on the inspiration than the imitation aspect. Like I definitely don't think when they were creating it, they were like, "Yo, let's just make Pokemon with guns." I think it just so happened to turn out to be that way. You know what I mean? From just kind of how I see the game, it was more focusing on the survival aspect than it was like the battling, grabbing Pokemons and like versing each other or like getting like traveling the world. Like it's definitely more like focused on just that survival aspect or like, you know what I mean. I think so that's why I would lean more to the inspiration than the imitation. But I think they definitely Pokemon definitely has a case when it just I think it threw everything off when you're throwing the balls at them
That's what I was saying. The
like
ball part was like, okay, yeah, that's Pokemon inspired, bro.
yeah, that's their like they literally could have done anything. Like it could have been a square or something. Like it could have been
Yeah.
anything. But like the fact that they did that, I could see why people were pushing the Pokemon Company to do something. But at the same time, um, I do think that, and also the fact that they're making like mods to make them into Pokemon. Or people are
Yeah.
making mods to make it into Pokemon and like make the main character into Ash and shit. So it's like there's a lot of things that happen when the company that you want isn't making the games you want and somebody else is doing it, they're gonna just go to that company. Like if this came out and it was Pokemon, if it was just like a new Pokemon, this game would have blew up like way more. Like, you know what I mean? But the fact that it's not Pokemon and then it's like something else. Since Pokemon fans aren't getting that from Pokemon, they're obviously gonna go to this company. You know what I mean? So it's a tough situation, but I think that like I said, if Pokemon isn't gonna do it, somebody's gonna do it. Like somebody's gonna take their time to really craft something that people want when it comes to people want more survival aspects in Pokemon games. People want like more combat in the Pokemon games. I remember a couple years ago they dropped Pokemon Arceus, and that was more somewhat in that realm, but that was just a spin-off. You know what I mean? They never fully dived, and I know a lot of people who want more of that type of gameplay and not like just the standard RPG standing there versing each other, like not having more input in the gameplay. I've been saying it for years. Like this
Yeah.
is definitely the route I would have want Pokemon to go. You know what I mean? So that's why I think it's really blowing up. But hey, it's tough to see. If I had to bet money on it, I would say nothing's gonna happen. That's just what I would say. I don't think anything's gonna happen. But if something does happen, that would be crazy. I don't know. Pokemon is just it's literally like the biggest game franchise of all time. So Nintendo doesn't play at all. Like they don't play at all. Like I remember there was this big story of some kid he wanted like Mario on his gravestone when he died, and the parents got sued for doing it because Nintendo does not play. Like they do not play.
You can get sued for that?
Yes, they do not play, bro.
Putting Mario on a statue of a dead
Yes, they do
person.
not play when it comes to their franchises, bro. They do not play at all. Like they're serious. So that's why when it comes to like the ball catching, it's tough. Like it's a tough situation. If that wasn't in there, I would have been like, nah, they don't have a case at all. But the fact that that's in there, it's like, ooh, the niggas
I
gotta
feel like
have some money for lawyers and shit, you know?
I feel like it would have been ill if like there was like a whole like concept where you have to have like a chain and then you have to like muzzle them or some shit like that to capture them. Some shit like that, like fuck them up and then they'll have like a time to like run up to them and then just jump on them or something like that and try to capture them.
Yeah,
I think that would be iller if you make it like capturing being more of a challenge. Like you have to like hit a certain spot, run up to them and do something. I don't know.
just
Instead of a
something
Pokeball.
other. Yeah, just some. I feel like they definitely could have went the extra step to take that narrative away. But I feel like it sucks because at the same time they're getting popular because of that narrative. But because of
Yeah.
that narrative, they also have to face the backlash of whatever Nintendo wants to do with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Nintendo has enough money. If they even get a sliver of a case, they're gonna shut that shit down. You know what I mean? They're really gonna, because that's just Nintendo does not play. Nintendo's one of the not the worst companies, but I meant like worse as in like they do not play with their shit, their IPs at all. Like nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to see what happens moving forward, but at the end of the day, I think without the controversies, the game just it doesn't look appealing to me. Like it looks very buggy and janky. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't look like, oh, I gotta buy this shit right now. Like it's, but that's
The
just me
thing
though.
about the thing about the game, bro, I thought it was gonna be like I want to play the game, but I thought it was gonna be more fast paced. I thought it was gonna be like you really like on some Call of Duty like turn around shooter type game, and then you have creature with you. It was gonna be third person, but like I was thinking more so like a division with Pokemon kind of like, but with Pokemon animation.
No, yeah,
That's how I was picturing the game, but it's really like kind of slow pace, like Pokemon aspect is
yeah.
type of game. Yeah.
Like I was saying, like I think it took a whole bunch of pieces from other things, but I don't think it did any of them well. If that makes any sense, like it took a
Yeah.
whole bunch of aspects from other games, but I don't think it's like a jack of all trades, but like a master of none. If that makes any sense. Like the
Yeah.
gameplay doesn't
Yeah.
look great, like that the graphics don't look amazing, like the animals don't look amazing. It's like it's all like solid but not like amazing, which I think that if they harped on the gunplay or the survival or the animal catching, if they harped harder on that and put more effort into at least one of those categories, it would have been more appealing for me personally. But Hey, I also feel like people probably won't be talking about this in a couple months. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
But
I just
you
feel
know,
like they should make the capturing more interesting and fun. Like, you know how in Breath in the Wild you can like climb on top of like the rock creatures and shit like that. Maybe they should have added something different. Like, yo, you have to set up traps and shit to capture the creatures and do some shit after beating them up or something. I don't know.
yeah, I think Monster Hunter does something like that, or like Horizon Zero Dawn, something of that nature. I know what you mean. Just taking it, just all the, like just taking it a step forward, a step further. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah. Even
But
though it'll be a bitch every time when you see something that you like, you have to go through a lot of hoops. It's like I feel like it'll make the game more entertaining.
yeah,
That's just me though.
yeah, but yeah. That's all I gotta say about that. But who knows? Hopefully, good luck to that company. You know, it's only so many times that a game gets so popular where it's on like they're making articles about it on the Forbes and shit like that. Like you know what I mean? Like so, hey, that's shout out to them niggas,
It, it reached like over 1.5 million people the first day on
which
Steam.
is crazy, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
that's all I got about that.
Glamour of wearing diamonds.
Diamonds bring
Status.
elegance and prestige. Their brilliance makes
Brilliance.